Discover how an incredible poor boy transformed his life to create the amazing Mercedes-Benz. Tommy stared at the clunky, rusted junker in the school parking lot, his heart pounding with dreams. He imagined it roaring down the highway, electric blue paint glistening in the sun, a Mercedes-Benz in the making. At just 14, he understood the weight of every penny. Having grown up in a small Midwestern town where money was as thin as his mother's patience after long shifts as a waitress. Life was tough, but his imagination soared. Every day at school brought challenges. As he walked the echoing halls filled with laughter and privilege, he felt the sharp pinch of bullying. Wealthy kids flaunted their designer clothes and shiny gadgets, reminding him of everything he lacked. But nothing stung more than the lunch incident when the basketball team tore his car sketches apart, laughing as his dreams spiraled into scraps. The humiliation washed over him like a cold wave. He squeezed his eyes shut, replaying his mother's words, "Be resilient, Tommy. Hope is what keeps us going." In those moments of despair, he felt like an invisible boy lost among the noise. Just when he thought he'd never rise above mediocrity, fortune turned. A flyer in the community center caught his eye: mentorship in mechanics. That S where he met Mr. Jenkins, a retired veteran whose wise eyes sparkled with stories and encouragement. Under Mr. Jenkins's wing, Tommy's passion flourished. Each oil-smudged lesson fueled his fire, and the scent of grease transformed from a reminder of struggle into the scent of possibility. But life threw another curveball. His mother lost her job. The weight of moving bound them together, yet it felt like chains on Tommy's spirit. Would he leave behind his dreams, his mentor, and those fleeting moments of triumph? A car competition was on the horizon, a chance to put everything he'd learned to the test, an opportunity to showcase his unyielding spirit. But soon came whispers of jealousy. A rival, caught in the shadows of wealth, conspired to sabotage his entry. Tommy faced disappointment, anger bubbling in him like a stormy sky. Giving up seemed easier, but there was a flicker inside him, a fire that refused to go out. Mr. Jenkins believed in him, and so did a handful of friends. Tommy stood at a crossroads, torn between resigning to the injustices that swirled around him or fighting back with everything he had. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Feeling the pulse of community behind him, Tommy gathered courage. He confronted the unfairness, rallying friends and neighbors who saw his struggle as their own. The power of unity changed the game. Could Tommy rise above the social divide that held him down? Or was he destined to remain shackled by the weight of ambition and familial loyalty? Just as hope ignited within him, the stakes escalated, and the journey ahead became more unpredictable than ever. He stood on the brink of something big, heart racing with the promise of what could come next. The air in the community center buzzed with excitement as Tommy prepared for the competition. His hands shook not only from nerves but from the sheer weight of his dreams. With each passing hour, the event loomed closer, pulsing through his mind like an insistent drumbeat, calling him to take action. Standing beside his makeshift workbench, he gazed at the car he'd been reconstructing for weeks. Its faded paint wasn't yet blue, but every weld, every bolt, represented his heart and soul. Mr. Jenkins hovered nearby, eyeing him with pride. "You've come a long way, kid. Remember, it's not just about winning. It's about believing in yourself." The old man's voice was soothing, filling Tommy's chest with warmth. He nodded, though the panic bubbling inside him felt like an angry furnace. Was he really ready? As the clock ticked down, Tommy's rival, a slick boy named Carter, strode into the room, flanked by friends oozing confidence. Carter was everything Tommy was not: rich, popular, and known for his flashiness. More than once, Tommy had watched Carter showcase his father's sleek cars, their polished surfaces whispering promises of success that felt generations away from him. Securing every advantage was Carter's specialty, and a nagging fear took root in Tommy's mind that he didn't belong here at all. But then he pictured his mom's tired face, the confidence she had in him, and he found his resolve. This day wasn't just about competition. It was about proving to himself that those decrepit dreams were worth fighting for. He took a deep breath and poured his heart into the final adjustments on his vehicle. On competition day, the air crackled with anticipation, and the parking lot was crowded with hopeful spectators. As Tommy approached the starting line, heart hammering, he caught snippets of conversations. Some whispered praise for his boldness, while others snickered at the humble car that paled next to Carter's shiny monstrosity. Dread twisted inside him, but he quickly pushed it aside. The race itself felt like a blur of adrenaline and noise. Tommy gripped the wheel as if it were a lifeline, feeling the vibrations of the engine course through him. Each turn was a test not just of skill, but of self-belief. He could hear Mr. Jenkins's encouraging voice in his head, reminding him to focus. The path ahead opened up, and for the first time, Tommy let go of the fear of failure. He leaned into the curves, feeling the freedom of speed surge through him. And then disaster struck. Carter, in an arrogant maneuver, tried to box Tommy in, pushing him toward the edge of the course. Tommy's heart dropped. This wasn't just a race. It felt like a fight for his dignity. But as he pressed the gas and veered away, something shifted inside him. He wasn't just a kid trying to prove himself anymore. He was an underdog breaking free, and in that moment, an idea sparked a way to outsmart Carter by embracing the unexpected. As he took the lead with an unpredicted maneuver, the crowd roared, the sound swelling like a wave crashing onto shore. Tommy felt a surge of hope and energy. This was more than just about cars. This was about proving that dreams could shine brightly even in the shadows of wealth. Would this be the turning point he had always yearned for? But as he glanced back, he noticed Carter making a furious comeback. The race was far from over. Would Tommy hold on to his lead or succumb to the same envy that had plagued him for so long? The final stretch awaited, and Tommy's heart raced with determination. The wind whipped past him, carrying away every doubt. All he could do was push forward, fueled by a resolve that ran deeper than ambition. The finish line pulled closer, but what awaited him beyond that moment was unknown, and everything hinged on the choice he would make in the blink of an eye. Tommy felt every fiber of his being pull him forward as he zoomed closer to the finish line, the world around him blurring into a frenzy of colors and sounds. His focus narrowed to the asphalt stretching out in front of him, and the roar of the crowd echoed in his ears like a heartbeat, urging him on. It was just him, the car, and that tantalizing finish line drawing closer, yet he could feel the shadows of doubt creeping back into his mind. With a quick glance over his shoulder, his stomach twisted when he saw Carter's car inching closer, chrome glinting in the sun, a predator hungry for victory. The pressure mounted, doubling down on his resolve. He wasn't just racing a car. He was racing his fears, the weight of every expectation, and the ghosts of every doubt he'd ever harbored. Tommy recalled Mr. Jenkins's wisdom: believe in yourself. He took a deep breath, steadying his racing heart. He knew he couldn't let fear dictate his path. He surged forward, pushing the pedal down further, feeling the gnarled fingers of the wind clawing at his face. The car responded with a growl, a sound of partnership forged through long nights and endless determination. As he whipped around a tight turn, the rear wheels squealed, and he held his breath, praying for grip and steadiness. He could hear Carter's engine barking behind him, hear the sneers of his friend echoing in his mind. They thought he couldn't do it. They thought he didn't belong here. And maybe they were right, but that didn't matter anymore. What mattered was the feeling of freedom the speed afforded him, the right to take control of his destiny. The finish line loomed ahead like the gates to a new world. Tommy's heart thudded heavily in his chest. Could he keep his lead as Carter charged forward? Time seemed to slow as he approached the end, every second stretching like an hour, his nerves fizzling. All that practice had carved preparation into instinct. As Carter attempted to break loose and overtake him on the last stretch, Tommy realized he could still maneuver out of that tight spot. He flicked the steering wheel, slinging his car into a sharp arc, leaving Carter taking a wide berth as he fought for control. The crowd was erupting, voices merging into a tidal wave of energy that pulled him along. For a brief moment he felt untouchable. The course stretched out before him as if it recognized him as the one ready to glide across the surface of dreams. But in that moment of clarity, one last urge from within surged through him. It wasn't just about winning. It was about proving to himself that he could rise above those who doubted him. Every bit of effort, every sleepless night, and every drop of sweat became a fuel inside him, pushing him beyond just a desire to win. Tommy soared toward the finish line like a comet crashing into its fate. The world blurred, and the cheers vibrated through his veins, igniting an exhilarating fire. But just as he reached the line, he saw a motion from the corner of his eye. Carter was closer than he had thought, not far behind, and he could sense that if Tommy faltered now, everything he fought for could slip away. Just hold on, he thought, tightening his grip, heart pounding with fierce determination. Tommy crossed the finish line. The moment felt surreal, suspended in a breath of disbelief. But would it last? Would this victory be as hollow as the shallow snickers he'd faced? As the dust settled and the crowd erupted, Tommy found himself looking into the eyes of his mother, who stood at the edge of the crowd, her arms lifted in triumph. Reality washed over him like a torrent. He realized that whether winning or losing, what mattered most was the journey, the strength he harnessed inside. But even as joy bloomed in his chest, he couldn't shake the feeling that what lay ahead would test him even further. As Carter pulled up next to him, his expression dark and calculating, Tommy braced himself, sensing the fierce rivalry wasn't over yet. What would happen when Carter challenged him again? Tommy barely had time to revel in his victory before Carter's discontent spilled over. The engine of Carter's car rumbled like an angry beast. He leaned out of his window, eyes locked on Tommy with a mix of frustration and envy. The crowd's cheers fell flat against the tension that crackled between them. "You got lucky this time, Tommy," Carter spat, his words sharp as the gleam of his chrome. "Don't expect it to happen again. I won to be outdone by some nobody." Tommy swallowed hard. Carter's words stung, but he was determined not to let them get to him. The thrill from the race still pulsed in his veins, igniting every nerve. It had been about conquering his fears, not about proving his worth to anyone else. As Tommy stepped out of his car, the roar of applause faded. He could hear his mother calling his name, her voice weaving through the noise like warm sunlight. Smiling at her, he could almost forget what had just transpired. She rushed over, pride radiating from her like a beacon. "You did it, Tommy. I knew you could." Her arms wrapped around him, pulling him into a tight embrace. His worries began to dissolve in that moment of unconditional love. "Thanks, Mom," he murmured, feeling a swell of warmth in his heart. They both stood back, grinning at each other, the rest of the world fading away. But Carter was still there, watching, gathering storm clouds in his expression. He stepped out of his car too, slamming the door behind him as if punctuating a point. "You think one race makes you a champion?" he called out, his voice cutting through the atmosphere. "If you think this is over, you're wrong. You don't belong here, Tommy." Determination hardened in Tommy's chest. He would not shy away from the challenge. "I've worked for this," he replied, his voice steady. "You'll see. I'm not going anywhere." The intensity of the moment stood in stark contrast to the jubilant crowd around them. Some cheered for Tommy, others bore witness to the fiery rift between the two drivers. He could feel the expectation, the weight of all those who had rallied around him. Every heartbeat reminded him of his promise to himself, to embrace this journey. Carter turned, taking a step back, a smirk creeping onto his face. "I'll give you some space to enjoy your moment, but don't get too comfortable. After today, you'll find out just how tough it gets." With that, he slid back into his car, the heavy rev of the engine drowning out the cheers. Tommy watched, feeling a chill pinch at his spine. He couldn't let fear slip back in. The rivalry was far from over, and he sensed it would only grow fiercer. As the crowd began to disperse, Tommy glanced at his mother, who was still beaming. "Let us celebrate," she suggested, her enthusiasm infectious. Yet, even as they headed toward the food tents, Tommy's mind was racing. He needed to train harder, think smarter. How could he prepare for whatever Carter had in store? A shadow loomed over him at that moment. Carter's ominous promise still echoed in his mind, daring him to rise to the challenge. He had gained a victory today, but whispers of doubt lingered. Was he really ready for the next race? Walking hand in hand with his mother, the sizzling smell of grilled burgers wafted nearby, but the excitement of the next competition gnawed at him. He would need to dig deep, push boundaries he hadn't tapped into yet. Tomorrow, he thought firmly. I start training tomorrow. But as they walked, Tommy couldn't shake the feeling that something more than just a race was on the horizon. He would have to confront not just his rival but the demons inside him too. What awaited him in the days ahead could either break him or make him stronger than ever. When the next challenge came, would he rise above the shadows, or would they pull him down into the depths of doubt once more? The next day dawned bright and clear, the sun casting a golden glow over the makeshift raceway. Tommy awoke with determination pulsating in his veins. He could hear the low hum of cars revving in the distance, a constant reminder of the challenge that lay ahead. Today was not just a day to celebrate his victory. It was the beginning of his journey, the moment he would transform his fear into fuel. After a quick breakfast, he pulled on an old pair of sneakers and headed out to the garage. His father's workshop still held echoes of laughter and lessons learned, a sanctuary filled with memories and tools. The sweet smell of engine oil filled the air, wrapping around him like a hug. With every step, he felt the weight of expectation lift. Tommy wiped down his car, each stroke of the cloth a promise to himself. He remembered the feeling of crossing that finish line, the exhilaration of speed, and the tinge of doubt that had tried to creep in. He needed to push that doubt further back, deeper into the corners of his mind. Hours rolled by as he practiced shifting gears, mastering turns, and adjusting his stance behind the wheel. He could hear the click of the ignition like the beat of a drum, steady and rhythmic, driving him onward. Each run was a step toward building his confidence. The sound of gravel crunching under the tires became a melody, one he wanted to perfect. But as he took a break, sweat trickling down his forehead, the weight of Carter's earlier words echoed back. "You don't belong here." The words danced in his mind like shadows, tempting him to doubt. Taking a deep breath, he pushed the thoughts aside. He belonged here. He deserved this fight. That night, after hours of training, he sat with his mother on the porch. The evening air was filled with the sound of cicadas, a comfortable hum in the background. She had always been his biggest supporter, and he needed her words now more than ever. "Mom," he started hesitantly, "do you think I can really do this? I mean, what if I'm just not good enough?" She reached over, placing her hand on his. "Tommy, you've proven time and again that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. But this race isn't just about winning. It's about who you become in the process. You have to believe in yourself." Her words wrapped around him like a warm blanket, soothing the chaos in his mind. He had a choice to make: either let fear control him or embrace the uncertainty and become stronger for it. The next morning, he woke up early, determination reigniting the fire in his chest. Today he would not only train, he would seek guidance from his father's old friends, seasoned racers who knew the ins and outs of the circuit. They would give him the tips he needed to get through the tough competition. As he pulled on his jacket, ready to face the day, a new idea flitted through his mind. What if he organized a community event? A gathering of racers and families, showcasing their talents while also giving him space to learn and grow. He smiled at the thought. It would sharpen his skills and draw attention to the racing scene in his town. Determined, he reached for his phone, already imagining the chatter of engines and laughter filling the air. But just as he was about to dial, a text notification popped up from an unknown number. His heart skipped a beat when he opened it. "You think you can just waltz in and take my place? This isn't over, Tommy. Prepare yourself." A chill raced down his spine. The tension was palpable, and with it came a rush of adrenaline. He was ready for a battle, a rivalry that was about to heat up. What would he do next? Would he stand his ground and use this challenge to push himself even harder? Or could this prove to be his undoing? Only time would tell, but one thing was for certain. The race had only just begun. Tommy stared at his phone, the words sinking in like a stone. Prepare yourself. Those words hung in the air like a taunting echo, and rage bubbled within him. Who did Carter think he was, threatening him like that? Somewhere deep down, that anger ignited a fire of motivation. But mixed with it was a flicker of fear. What if Carter had something up his sleeve? He decided to push those thoughts away. He couldn't let them distract him. Today was about learning and growing, not succumbing to doubt. He slipped his phone into his pocket and stepped out of his house, the morning sun kissing his skin. The world beyond waited for him, full of potential. The first stop was a diner down the road, a local gathering spot for racers and gearheads. As he entered, the familiar scent of coffee and bacon hit him, soothing and invigorating. The usual clattering of dishes and chatter buzzed around him. A few regulars glanced up, nodding in recognition. There was Dave, a rugged mechanic with a heart of gold, and Linda, a retired racer who still had the fire in her eyes. He approached their booth. "Morning, folks. Mind if I join you? Sit down, kid." Dave motioned him over. "You look like you're ready to hit the track." "Trying to get a leg up before the big race," Tommy replied, his hands fidgeting with the edge of the table. "You guys have any advice?" Linda leaned forward, her voice low but firm. "Practice isn't everything. Guts matter too. You have to be able to read the track, know when to push and when to hold back. And remember, don't let anyone else define your limits." Nodding, Tommy soaked in her words. They were just what he needed, the kind of wisdom that can only come from real experience. "But there's something else," Dave added. "You need support. Get the community involved. Organize that event like you were thinking. Bring in the local racers and their families. Create a festival, celebrate this thing you all love." A surge of excitement thrummed through Tommy at the thought of hosting an event. He could already envision people coming together, engines roaring, laughter filling the air, just like his earlier dreams. After finishing his meal, he stepped back outside, the sun now higher in the sky. Fueled by determination, he called a few friends and shared his idea. "Let us make it happen," he said, the enthusiasm bouncing off his words. "We'll showcase our skills and share the love for racing." Responses were positive, and soon a plan began to take shape. Ideas flowed, and so did laughter. The community event would be a chance not just for him to learn but to bring everyone together. As the day passed, the excitement built. But somewhere in the back of his mind, Carter loomed, a specter of doubt. Whatever plans Tommy made, he couldn't forget it was a competition. Later that evening, while Tommy was finishing up some notes on the event, another notification buzzed through. He opened the message, half expecting more threats or taunts. Instead, it was a link to a video, a race from last season, featuring Carter, fast and fierce. His heart raced as he watched, absorbing every corner, every drift. This wasn't just about racing. It was about heart. It reminded him of what his mom had said. It was about who he would become in the process. He was ready to challenge not only Carter but also himself. As night fell, he lay in bed wrestling with restless thoughts. What if this event didn't go as planned? What if Carter was right? The fear crept in, tightening its grip. But he had come too far to let it win now. Closing his eyes, Tommy took a deep breath. Tomorrow would be another step. This race was shaping up to be more than he ever imagined. And he wouldn't back down. What would it take to believe in himself fully? Could he turn fear into fuel and pave the way for the community event? Or would the pressure of rivalry prove to be his undoing? The answers were just out of reach, waiting to be discovered. Morning light spilled into Tommy's room, filtering through the curtains like a promise. The events of the previous day buzzed in his mind, igniting a sense of urgency. Today was about taking action, about turning dreams into reality. He rolled out of bed, heart pounding with excitement and nerves. After a quick breakfast, he headed out to the local park where he planned to hold the community event. The air was fresh and crisp, filled with the lively sounds of birds and children playing. It wasn't just a park. It felt like a canvas waiting for his brushstrokes. Tommy walked the layout, envisioning the racing setups and community booths. He grabbed his phone, ready to make calls. With every conversation, his enthusiasm seemed to grow, and soon he had a list of racers, vendors, and volunteers committed to the event. This was more than just an event. It was a celebration of their mutual passion for racing, a drive to unite the community. He could almost hear the roar of engines and the anticipation of the crowd. As he finished up a call, he noticed a couple of familiar faces approaching the Thompsons, a family who had been crucial in the local racing scene. Mr. Thompson was a former mechanic well-respected around town, and his daughter, Jess, was known for her fierce competitive spirit. "Hey there, Tommy. Heard about your event. We'd love to help out," Mr. Thompson said with a warm smile. "Yeah, I can show you some tricks on how to set up the track." Jess chimed in, excitement shining in her eyes. "Really? That would be awesome." Tommy couldn't contain his smile. Support was pouring in, and it made him feel invincible. As they discussed plans, Jess leaned closer, lowering her voice. "So, are you worried about Carter? I mean, if he shows up, things could get tense." The mention of Carter sent a chill through Tommy. He hadn't wanted to think about it, but Jess's words hung in the air. Would Carter try to sabotage the event? Would he come just to prove a point? He brushed the thought aside, forcing a confident smile. Let him come. This is bigger than some rivalry. It's about bringing our community together. Days sped by, filled with planning and preparations. Posters were hung, and the word spread like wildfire. Friends rallied together to build obstacles, paint banners, and even clean up the park. Laughter and music filled the air, and for the first time in a long time, Tommy felt light, unburdened by fear. But beneath that excitement, doubt still gnawed at him. Carter was a skilled racer, and he wouldn't hesitate to pull every trick in the book. The risk of embarrassment weighed heavily, making Tommy's stomach churn. On the day before the event, nerves kicked in. As he lay in bed, the echoes of laughter and work bubbled in the back of his mind, dousing the flames of anxiety. He had to dig deeper, find that spark of courage that had ignited him. Finally, he made a decision. He would invite Carter to join not as a competitor, but as part of the community. It might be the most reckless move he could make, but Tommy felt it deep in his gut. He couldn't let fear dictate his actions, nor could he let old rivalries keep them apart. The next morning, with heart racing, Tommy sent a message to Carter, simple and direct. "You're invited to the event tomorrow. It's time to put aside our differences." As Tommy hit send, he held his breath. What if Carter refused? What if he laughed? But maybe, just maybe, this would be the moment to reshape everything. The day loomed ahead, filled with hope and uncertainty. Would he gain a rival or a brother in the process? Standing before the mirror, Tommy took a deep breath, steadying himself for what was to come. Could he face the day with no fear? Or would the pressure of everything unravel before him? The answers, just like the race, were still waiting on the track. Tommy woke with the sun streaming through his window, casting a warm glow on his anxious face. Today was the day. Today, he would see his vision come to life. He checked his phone, heart pounding a little harder as he searched for any sign from Carter. Nothing. Just the usual notifications about the event. He dressed quickly, putting on a shirt that somehow made him feel more courageous, heading down the stairs with a determined gait. The smell of bacon wafted through the air. His mom was bustling about, prepping for the day. "You're gonna crush it out there, Tommy," she said, her voice steadying him. "Thanks, Mom," he replied, forcing a smile. Once at the park, he felt the pulse of energy around him. Volunteers were setting up booths while kids, wide-eyed with excitement, dashed from one place to another. Banners flapped in the wind, their colorful designs calling everyone to rally around his idea. Tommy's heart raced, not just from nerves but from the thrill of possibilities unfolding right before him. He took a moment to breathe it all in, feeling the sun on his skin and the sound of laughter filling the air. But a thought nagged at him. Would Carter show? He tried to push the worry away. This day was bigger than his past disputes. It was about unity. It was about racing together, not against each other. Just as he finished arranging the last signs, Jess appeared at his side. "Everything looks amazing, Tommy. You did this," she said, genuine admiration lighting up her eyes. "Yeah, but it's not just me. It's all of us, you know?" Just as he spoke, a buzz rippled through the crowd. Tommy turned to see Carter walking toward them. He stopped, his heart dropping. Carter looked exactly how he always did. Calm, collected, and a little too cool for comfort. The universal tension in the air sparked like a live wire. "Wow, looks like you've got a real party going on here, Tommy," Carter said, smirking slightly. Tommy squared his shoulders and pushed down the anxiety rising in his chest. "Thanks for coming, Carter. I hope you're ready to join in." For a moment, an awkward silence stretched between them. The crowd, sensing the tension, held its breath waiting, watching. Tommy felt their gazes pressing in, could almost hear their whispered judgments. Eventually, Carter lowered his eyes, his voice dropping to a more serious tone. I didn't come here just to race." He gestured around them, his expression unreadable. "I came to show support, and maybe put some of this rivalry behind us." Relief washed over Tommy like a cool breeze on a hot day. There was hope in Carter's words. Perhaps this day could be more than just friendly competition. Maybe it could mend fences too. Before they could engage further, the crowd erupted in cheers as the first racer revved their engine. Tommy looked towards the track, adrenaline igniting inside him. This moment was what they all worked for. "Ready to start?" Jess called out, and the crowd burst into applause. With hearts pounding, Tommy and Carter exchanged uncertain but hopeful glances, then shared a nod. This was it. There was no more time for fear. They were about to prove that together, they could do something greater than any one person could alone. As they stood side by side, engines roaring, the stakes felt high. But the uncertainty lingered in Tommy's mind. Would today finally erase their past? Would this event unite them? Or would hidden rivalries surface in the heat of competition? With a deep breath, Tommy shouted, "Let us go." He led the way toward the starting line, ready to embrace whatever came next. The thrill of the unknown lay ahead, waiting to unfold. The roar of engines filled the air, electricity crackling among the crowd. Tommy could feel the vibrations in his chest as he took his place at the starting line. The excitement was palpable, an energy that could lift anyone's spirits. It was a moment of connection. Everyone was here for the same reason. Ready to cheer, ready to race. In the driver's seat, Tommy glanced at Carter. His rival his new ally was focused, hands gripping the wheel, face like a stone mask of concentration. Tommy followed suit, tightening his grip, heart pounding in anticipation. This wasn't just a race anymore. It was a chance to redefine who they were and how they saw each other. "On your mark." Jess's voice rang out through the loudspeakers, cutting through the noise. The crowd fell silent, like the calm before a storm. Get set. Tommy felt a rush of adrenaline. It was time to let go of the past. Go. The world exploded into sound. Engines roared to life, wheels screeched against the pavement, and adrenaline surged through Tommy like wildfire. He pressed the accelerator, pushing the car as if it were an extension of himself. The wind rushed past, carrying away his worries. This was freedom. He glanced to the side. Carter was right there, neck and neck. Tommy pushed harder, determination etched into every muscle. They were racing together now, not against each other. The vibrant colors of the banners blurred by, faces in the crowd cheering as they flew past. But as they rounded a sharp bend, Tommy felt a shift. His hands trembled slightly on the wheel. The old doubts crept back in. What if he faltered? What if he messed it all up? For just a brief moment, his heart sank as he remembered past failures, the weight of his insecurities threatening to overwhelm him. Then he caught sight of Jess, her smile beaming from the sidelines, her cheers echoing in his ears. Her presence anchored him, reminding him of why this race meant so much. Rallying together against their old grievances was what they were meant to do. With a deep breath, he cleared his mind. The track opened up ahead, and Tommy caught a glimpse of the finish line. A burst of white against the blue sky. Felt like hope, a tangible prize waiting just for them. "Come on, Tommy. Let us do this together," Carter called out, catching Tommy's eye. There it was, the bond they were forging, one that went beyond trophies or rivalries. Tommy threw everything he had into the race, heart pounding against his ribs like a drum. As they barreled down the stretch, the cheers rose to a fever pitch. This was more than a race. It was a statement. They wanted to break free from their past and redefine their futures. He glanced over at Carter, who was driving just as fiercely. They could achieve something remarkable today. But in that same moment, a flash of panic jolted through him. What if something went wrong? What if they crashed? The fear gnawed at him, tightening around his chest. Just as he began to doubt himself again, the sudden sound of crunching metal pierced the air. A car 2 spots ahead spun out of control, careening toward them, tires screeching. Time slowed as Tommy's instincts kicked in. "Look out," he yelled, and without thinking, he swerved instinctively, cutting to the left to avoid a collision. Carter followed suit, determination visible in his eyes. Would they navigate this unexpected twist together? Or would this race not just test their skills but also their renewed partnership? As the chaos unfolded, Tommy's heart raced in tandem with the engines around him. A moment that could change everything lay ahead. The world around Tommy exploded into chaos. The screeching tires and the sound of crumpling metal roared in his ears, rising above the excitement of the race. He glanced in horror at the car spinning out of control, its driver frantically trying to regain command. The breath caught in his throat as he and Carter swerved simultaneously. "Stay focused." He could hear Mr. Jenkins's voice in his mind, the sound grounding him. Courage surged through him like fuel, and instinct kicked in. "We'll get through this." With a steady grip and deep breaths, Tommy maneuvered the steering wheel, navigating the chaos like a dancer in the storm. He felt the wind whip past him, a fierce reminder of his purpose, of everything he fought for. In this moment, fear transformed into clarity. He was not just a kid with a dream. He was part of something much larger, a community united in the love of racing. As the spinning car veered dangerously toward them, he heard Carter's voice. "We've got to take control." There was a determination in Carter that Tommy recognized as a shift in their partnership. No longer were they simply competitors. They were allies against the challenges that faced them. In one swift motion, they both swung wide, avoiding the wreck while maintaining speed. The crowd gasped, then erupted into cheers, the sound fueling Tommy's heart. He could feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins, pushing him forward. The finish line was still ahead, a beacon of possibility. Across the remaining track, the finish line approached ever closer, now a palpable heartbeat that echoed in his chest. He caught sight of Jess, her exuberant cheers bursting with pride. In that moment, as if sensing the unity forming between him and Carter, something magnificent ignited within him, a realization that they could overcome anything when they worked together. Carter, matching Tommy's pace, cast a sideways glance and nodded. It was more than just a gesture. It was a promise. They accelerated, forming a powerful duo on this winding path. With inches to spare between them, they crossed the final bend, tires kicking up dust and gravel. "Now!" Tommy shouted, and when Carter leaned into the turn perfectly, they found their rhythm. Every curve felt like a dance, and every roar of the crowd reinforced their connection. They were no longer shadowed by rivalry. They soared together, weaving between each other's cars as if choreographed. As they raced into the final stretch, Tommy felt alive. Every ounce of doubt began to fade away. The finish line was right before them. "This is it," he thought, eyes blazing with fierce determination. "We did this together." With every ounce of strength, they pushed harder. Tommy could see his mother in the crowd, tears of joy streaming down her face, and he felt that twinge of emotional energy wrap around him. fueled him like never before. The moment of truth arrived, and together they burst through the finish line. Tommy, just inches ahead of Carter. The cheers erupted into thunder, drowning out the roar of their engines. Tommy exhaled as his heart swelled. He had crossed the finish line, but more importantly, he had transformed a rivalry into camaraderie. He turned to Carter, who was wearing a genuine smile, one free of envy. In that moment, everything changed. Their connection, forged through challenge, was stronger than any victory they had ever fought for alone. As they parked their cars, the crowd surged around them, clapping and celebrating, the noise a joyful echo of support. Jess rushed up, beaming with excitement. "You did it. The both of you." She hugged Tommy, pride shining in her eyes. But then, amid the celebration, Tommy spotted his mother, who had sprinted over. She enveloped him in a warm embrace, her happiness palpable. "I'm so proud of you, Tommy. You showed so much courage." And in that flood of love, he understood that this was about more than just racing. It was about family, community, and strength. His heart bubbled with joy, realizing he had not only won a race but also embraced his true self. As laughter and cheers resonated around them, Tommy caught a glimpse of Carter approaching, reluctant but steady. "You drove well today." He extended his hand, and Tommy grasped it firmly, their shared sense of growth swirling between them. "You too. Let us keep this going together." Even before words could be exchanged, the air shifted with potential. The crowd cheered for more than the victory. They cheered for the partnership, for the heart that had been woven into every fiber of the event. Tommy knew that this day marked a turning point, a celebration lit by newfound unity that extended beyond themselves. And as for the challenges ahead, he felt ready. With the support of his community, the love of his mother, and the partnership he had built with Carter, he could face anything. Tomorrow would bring another chance to grow, another chance to race, but now, he was not just racing for himself but for everyone who believed in him. So, as the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm glow over the jubilant scene, Tommy knew one thing for certain. This was only the beginning of his incredible journey, and he wouldn't forget the heart that brought them together. Now is the moment for you. Subscribe immediately to our channel, and don't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below with your thoughts about this amazing transformation, and share instantly with at least 5 friends who need to experience this kind of inspiration. Don't wait not even one more second to support us. Only true fans understand how crucial your engagement is to keep these incredible stories alive.